Some brands are just different. They're way more than a product or a service, right? There are these powerful assets that command crazy loyalty and, let's be honest, a premium price. So, how'd they do it? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and show you the actual blueprint for building a powerhouse brand. I mean, it's a question you've probably asked yourself, right? Why are we totally fine paying more for a Starbucks coffee when, there's a perfectly good cup of Joe at the gas station for half the price? Or why do we pick one pair of sneakers over another, even when they're probably made in the exact same factory? What is that name really worth? I mean, just look at Lululemon. They've managed to build this incredibly strong, almost cult-like connection with their customers. People will literally line up to pay nearly $100 for workout pants. And look, it's not just about the sweat-wicking fabric. It's about the feeling, the community, the whole vibe they've created. This is the power of a brand, right there in action. All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start by figuring out what a brand really is, because it's more than a logo. Then we'll get into the main event. What is brand equity? After that, we'll walk through the step-by-step blueprint for building one, check out the tools you need, and finally, talk about how you keep a brand strong for the long haul. Okay, so first things first. We throw the word brand around all the time, but what does it actually mean? Because I promise you, it's so much more than just a name or a cool logo. Okay, so the official definition from the American Marketing Association is right there on your screen. But the key word, the one to really focus on, is differentiate. I like to think of it like this. A brand is like a person's reputation. It's what people are saying about you when you're not in the room. A brand's whole job is to create those meaningful differences. Some are rational, like a car's reliability, and some are purely emotional, like that feeling of community you get from your favorite coffee shop. Right, and when those differences start to create some real value, that's when we get to the heart of it all, brand equity. Just think of it as this invisible but incredibly powerful asset that a strong brand name adds to whatever it's selling. And here's the absolute key. Brand equity is all about the customer. It's not something a company just decides it has. No, it's the different effect a brand has on how you, the consumer, respond to it. It exists entirely in your head, and what you've seen, what you've heard, and what you've felt about that brand over time. It's the reason you react more favorably to a product with the brand name than you would without it. So, why should we even care about this? Well, because the payoff is just huge. In today's super noisy world, a strong brand just cuts through all that clutter. As you can see here, it leads to more loyalty and bigger profit margins. It makes you way less vulnerable to competitors, your marketing is more effective, and you get permission from customers to launch new stuff. Bottom line, brand equity is the ultimate competitive advantage. Okay, so we know what brand equity is and why it's so valuable, but how do you actually build it from the ground up? Well, luckily for us, there's a blueprint for that, and it's built like a pyramid. And boom, here it is. This is the brand resonance pyramid, and it pretty much illustrates the whole process. It lays out 4 key steps, and you have to move from the bottom all the way to the top to take a brand from just a name to something that creates that rabid, unwavering loyalty. So let's build this thing, one level at a time. Okay, so at the very bottom, the foundation of any strong brand is what we call salience. This is all about identity. The goal is simple, but it's absolutely crucial. Make sure customers know who you are and that they think of you in the right situations. When you need a tissue, do you think Kleenex? When you search for something online, do you Google it? That right there, that's brand salience. It's about being top of mind. All right, moving up a level, we get to meaning. Once people know who you are, you have to tell them what you are. This means you got to have your points of parity, the basic stuff you need just to be in the game, and then you have to create powerful points of difference that really set you apart. And you do this with 2 building blocks, performance, which is the rational side, and imagery, the emotional side. Think of a Rolex. Yeah, its performance is perfect, but it's the imagery that makes it a symbol of success. And the best brands, they absolutely nail the balance between both. Okay, so people know who you are. They know what you're about, but what do they actually think and feel about you? This third level is all about shaping those positive reactions. We're talking about judgments, your opinions on things like quality and credibility, and feelings, the actual emotional reactions the brand triggers, like warmth or fun or excitement. And here we are at the very top of the pyramid, brand resonance. This, my friends, is the holy grail. It's all about the relationship. The question here is, what about you and me? This is that magic level where customers feel a deep, unbreakable bond with the brand. They feel in sync with it. I mean, think about the loyalty of Harley-Davidson riders or total Apple fanatics. That's resonance. So that's the blueprint, right? But what are the actual tools you use to climb that pyramid? What are the specific things marketers do to build all those associations in our minds? Well, it really boils down to three main drivers. You can think of it as BMS: brand elements, marketing activities, and secondary associations. First up, you've got the brand elements themselves, the name, the logo. Second, all your marketing activities, from the actual product to the ads you see. And third, you can kind of borrow equity by creating secondary associations, linking your brand to other things, like a celebrity or even a whole country. And what I love about this next part is just how practical it is. When you're choosing those brand elements, there's a 6-point checklist. The first 3 are all about building the brand. The last 3 are defensive. They help you protect it. So think about the Nike swoosh. It's instantly memorable, it's meaningful, and it's likable. But it's also transferable to other products, it's adaptable to different designs, and of course, it's legally protectable. It just ticks every single box. This really brings us to that second tool, your marketing. See, brands aren't just built by ads. You have to remember, a brand contact is literally any experience a customer has with you. Olive Garden is a master at this. Their brand promise is the idealized Italian family meal. And every single touchpoint, the smell of garlic bread, the wine training for the staff, even the architecture of the building, is all designed to reinforce that one single promise. You know, building our brand is one thing, but the real challenge? It's keeping it strong for the long haul, managing it over decades. This is the long game, where you have to keep the brand relevant and make sure its value doesn't just fade away. And really, it comes down to 2 main strategies. Think of it like gardening. On the left, brand reinforcement is like carefully watering a healthy plant. You consistently deliver the brand's meaning while always pushing it forward like Nivea has done. On the right, brand revitalization is like bringing a dying plant back to life. You're recapturing lost equity for brands that have faded, like the amazing comebacks of Old Spice or Burberry. And PBR is such a perfect example of this. Pabst Blue Ribbon was a brand that was seriously on the decline, but instead of some flashy new ad campaign, they went back to their authentic, no-nonsense roots. Through really smart, grassroots marketing that targeted bike messengers, tattoo parlors, and indie bands, PBR became genuinely cool again, a retro chic icon, all without spending a fortune on ads. But there's always a danger when you're managing a strong brand, and that danger is dilution. This quote from Scott Bedbury, who helped build giants like Nike and Starbucks, says it all. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. The temptation to stretch a successful brand into all these new categories is huge. But if you push it too far, you risk confusing everybody and destroying the very meaning you worked so hard to build. Okay, so let's wrap this up with a question for you. Think about a brand that you are just absolutely ride or die loyal to. Looking back at that pyramid we just built, what did that brand do to get you all the way to the top? Did they just nail the meaning? Did they create an unforgettable feeling? Or did they achieve that true resonance, making you feel like you were a part of their story? What's your brand story? Because that's the blueprint of brand equity at work.